How's it, everybody? Welcome back to On the Bench with Faizal Brooks. That is me. It's great to have you back. And for tonight's episode, which is effectively episode 1 of this series, we're going to be looking at effectively the potential or the build-up to the game of United versus Spurs, where Spurs host us. And also then look back at how we got to this point, what was our game like the last time. Now, normally in an episode like this, moving forward, we would look at United's last game, how they performed, what was the stats like, who was standing out, who really disappointed us, and then look at the next game or the up-and-coming game. In this instance, because it was such a long time ago and because the last game we had was a fantastic game against City, we basically embarrassed Pep. But we thought it would be more appropriate for us to now look at the last game United had against Spurs. Now, very interestingly, yes, we came away with a W. We won them. It was 2-1. But the game wasn't as straightforward as that. It wasn't a case of we walked up onto the pitch, we knocked them down 2-1, and they got a lucky goal. Well, maybe to a certain extent it was. However, what I do believe is that if you look at the stats, and I don't like really spending too much time focusing on stats, but there's certain things that we have to acknowledge, man, that they did get right, United. There was very little that Spurs got right, but if you look at what United did get right through that game, there's a lot that led up to it, man. I mean, first of all, we were on a low. Let me just bring that to the forefront. We were on a low. We had 2 draws before that. The morale wasn't great. Where were we going? Again, Oli was getting so much flack. The players was getting flack. I mean, it was just, we weren't very confident in the future of the team, and we knew we needed assistance, as we've mentioned before. But in saying that, I mean, it's small things that will make a change, man. And when you walk onto the pitch and especially when you're at home, there's obviously a certain amount of confidence that you have. You know, you got your home support. Obviously now there's no support, but we've got home support. It's home ground advantage. We're playing in front of the Stratford end. We everything is in our favor. Everything points to a good game when we're playing at home. So when we welcome back somebody that used to manage us, like Jose Mourinho, it's even more special. It's even more nervous because he knows our players almost inside and out, whether he was successful with them or not. He knows our players. He knew our strengths. He knew our weaknesses. The only thing that would normally be of a mystery to him was how would we set up against them and what would be the finer instructions given by the coaching staff and Oli during the approach. Are we going to play long ball? Are we going to play short ball? Are we doing counter-attack? Which we were doing anyway. Normally against the big teams, we would normally play a back 5, but in this case, we didn't. But nonetheless, our confidence was low. And so for us to go into the game, understanding that we can't let a personality like Jose Mourinho get us down or intimidate us or knock us off our path. Because even though we were struggling and even though we were getting the draws, we were still getting the results. And again, we were building towards what would actually be a very good run for that period. Now, for Rashford to walk onto the field, I mean, he is, I believe, any defense's nightmare. Simply because he has that confidence and maturity, even at his age, to understand when to run, when to hold back. I mean, we went through a spell with him where he was taking shots that were just horrendous, but it was important for him to get that out of his system. And any good coach will tell you, never tell the striker or an attacking player to not shoot, because now you're going to knock their confidence. So we went through a spell with Rashford where he was missing penalties. He was taking crazy free kicks instead of Pogba. I mean, what was going on there, But we could also sense that there was something good building at the same time. And from the get-go, from the kickoff, we really were relentless. I mean, I could remember a game like it was freaking yesterday. It was absolutely beautiful and nervous at the same time. In fact, with all the pressure, Rashford literally sliced through the defense, which, I mean, Alderweireld, Vertonghen, Sanchez, I mean, they are They are big names in the industry, and for him to slice through them within 6 minutes, or at the 6th minute, to score a goal at the near post was beautiful. And obviously that set the tone. The minute we go one up, or the minute we score a goal, we kind of now put the ball in the opposition's court. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit back and try and absorb more pressure and let us come at you? Or are you going to counter and try and even the playing field or level the score? When they do that, you expose more space, because now you're attacking, and it gives us, who are now becoming a more naturally counter-attacking team, which shouldn't be the case, because our culture of football is attack, attack, attack. But for us now, obviously, because of the circumstances, because of the players we had available, we had to adapt our playing style, and for a very long time we were playing counter-attacking football, even against teams that we shouldn't, and that's why we drew so many games and lost stupid games and stuff. But nonetheless, we counter-attacked them, and we put more pressure on them, and they were really taken care of in two factors. I mean, a lot of the game was played in the midfield. The possession wasn't neither here nor there. You know, I mean, I think it finished on like 46, 54 kind of pass. It wasn't really a big deal, but we definitely put the pressure on them. Now, for Rashford to step up in that game, and for him to show the maturity of leading the attack, which is what we've always wanted, was very good. I mean, yes, the goal was one thing, but the amount of shots he took, that hit the crossbar, that hit the upright, that just about went over. I mean, it's crazy. Our fact checker over there mentioned earlier that we're assuming, we're just double checking the facts on it, but he actually might have the most shots against the bar out of the strikers that's in the league. And obviously he's been injured for a long time, and for him to still hold that stat is freaking amazing. But nonetheless, you know, it was the defense was on point. The defense had them, the attack had them, and it showed that we have it in us, man, to be able to contain a game and to manage a game well. For us to be able to really, literally take Kane completely out of the picture. We took him out of the picture. I mean, he finished the goal on a player rating of 4. This is Harry Kane, England's number 9. To have a player rating of 4. It's crazy. Son, who we were all hoping would come to United for whatever reason, we always had speculation, not like Daniel Levy would let him, but had a player rating of 6, which is a little bit above average. It's kind of okay for Son, but obviously the player with the highest was Dele Alli and his wonder goal, lucky goal I call it, when he split the defense with a tap over, and then he put the ball past the guy. But I mean, everybody has Dele Alli. Everybody, should I say, has a Lingard. We've got Lingard, the original. Every team, I suppose, needs them. Tottenham has Dele Alli, and even City has freaking Sterling. I mean, yesterday Sterling scored a fantastic goal against Arsenal. I mean, even Arsenal not great. I mean, they're struggling probably worse than us, but everybody has a Lingard, I'd like to say, because I don't know why they're there. I mean, Sterling still has not scored against United. That shows you a lot. Well, that says a lot. But nonetheless, Dele Alli did that to us, man. He was awake and he was alert when our defense on the 39th minute kind of just took a dip or lost focus, which annoyed me, because again, United has this tendency or this game plan that includes zonal marking when the attackers are, or when we are in defense, which never makes sense to me, especially at corners, especially at free kicks. We've got one of the biggest centre backs around, but not all of our. Luke Shaw's not a tall guy. Ashley Young's not a tall guy. Wan-Bissaka's not a tall guy. We don't have the tallest of players. We don't have 11 Peter Crouches. So for us to play zonal defense doesn't make sense. We're always going to find ourselves leaving gaps for players like Dele Alli to sneak in and take advantage. And, you know, kudos to him, because he did. And I then put the pressure back on us, but it wasn't for too long, because when we came out of the tunnel for second half, very quickly we got a penalty again because of the pressure we had added, and then obviously we won the game 2-1, but it was our ability to contain that game, our ability to null and void whatever Mourinho's strategy was, whatever his tactics were. We null and voided it, and we said, you know what, we're going to play our game, and we did, and we won, which was very good. Obviously that formed the platform for many good things. I mean, we won City 2-1 at the Etihad. But the morale was now up, simply because we decided, in my opinion, we decided to switch our mentality. We stopped doubting ourselves. We started showing confidence in what we're able to do. We showed conviction in our plan and our intention. And with that, whether we decide to go defensive or if we're going attack, if you are going to stick to what your game plan is, you are going to come out with a result more than likely that you had aimed for. Remember that a lot of prep goes into a game, a lot of strategy talk, a lot of team talks, and making the players understand why it's important for them to do certain things or run or make certain runs. So with all of that, now taking effect, and for to play out the way it did at Old Trafford against Spurs, against Mourinho, was fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. I mean, for us to be able to do that and not really worry about stats. I mean, we're not a tiki-tack football team. We're not going to hold possession for so long. So already we have succumbed to the fact that if you walk away with 5% possession, and of that 5% possession, we scored 3 goals and you scored 2 goals, then that's the bottom line. We win. I don't care what you do and what you say. Ultimately, goals win games. Nothing else. Not the amount of free kicks, not the amount of corners, not passes, not possession, not who dribbled the furthest, not whose heat map looks the best on stat reviews and stuff. No, goals win games. And if you don't score the goals you need to put away when you have the opportunities, then you're going to end up 10th or 11th with all those draws that you're going to have. But I must say it is fantastic to see the league back again. It was so comforting to hear the Premier League song being played. To see those teams run out yesterday was amazing. And the amount of accommodation and how everybody compromised. I mean, obviously the stadiums is empty. You can hear them playing music on speakers and stuff. You can hear crowd noises recorded. It's all obviously to benefit and to play into the psyche of the players so they can just lessen the pressure a little bit. But I mean, for the teams to kick off the way they did, I mean, freaking hell, that game, or the favor, should I say, that Jack Grealish did for us for holding Sheffield United to a draw. Fantastic. Jack Grealish, obviously, it was another interview for him because he obviously wants to play for United. We all know that, and we wouldn't mind having him there. It would be a good addition to the squad. Whether Pogba stays or goes, it's always good to have that depth in the squad. When you look at the situation now, we've got 9 games, effectively 10 games, could actually turn into 13 or 14 games because of the FA Cup. So to have that depth in your squad is crucial and critical. Funny enough though, man of the match for that game, or the standout player rated, was Dean Henderson. Now for a goalkeeper, other than David De Gea, to get man of the match says a lot, especially when we're paying his salary, Dean Henderson. But with all the noise and hype around him now, potentially being the future goalkeeper for United, him acknowledging it, obviously adds pressure to David De Gea to perform, to cement his place. I don't think he really needs to sell himself any more than he has, but he is getting on in age. And I can remember every season now for the last 5 or 6 seasons where it was, is David De Gea going to go this year? Real Madrid is taking him this year. No, they're taking him this year. And every year, that guy just renew his contract, sitting on £370,000 a week now. And he just goes in, well, why not? How many games didn't he save us? How many points didn't he save us? How many times hasn't he taken a ball out of a net that should have definitely been goal? We depended so much on a goalkeeper because our defense was so weak for such a long time. Having to rely on Smalling and he who shall not be mentioned. You know, it's crazy. Bailey being injured. So for him to have saved us the way he did shows us he shouldn't really be selling himself. He should be the number one keeper. If he's going to stay next year or next season or another season after that, that's great. More importantly, because if you look at the direction that Dean Henderson is going, I mean, he has been stunning, absolutely stunning at Sheffield United. He has. We can't ignore that. And I think even for a long time, he didn't want to come back to United because of the philosophy of that team. Remember, they were in Championship last year. They were in not Premier League. They are now a couple of points behind us on the league. They're fighting for that Champions League and European spots as much as we are, as hard as we are. So for them to draw last night, and for us now to go to Spurs, knowing we can take them, is amazing. And then for Dean Henderson to get man of the match, obviously shows that, look, again, his defense in front of him, maybe he wasn't as effective as they normally are. Maybe Aston Villa, I didn't watch the whole game, I really like to, but maybe Aston Villa just counter-attacked or countered them well and got into a lot of position or scoring opportunities. And Dean Henderson kept them out and effectively kept Sheffield in the game and earned them a point. So that's obviously amazing. And then for him to have the promise of, or the I believe now is the eagerness to stand in obviously between the uprights for United. I mean, whose dream is that not? I mean, I'd stand there if they didn't kick so hard. I mean, have you ever felt a ball at any one of those shops, like Total Sports or Sportsman's Warehouse or whatever, and the balls are rock hard, and that's apparently the balls they play with. It's like, imagine that, but I kicking the ball. Imagine Pogba kicking the ball at you. I'm not going to stand in the balls. I'll give the guy a 375 freaking million pounds a week for stopping the balls the way he stops balls. And for Dean Henderson now to be able to step up to that plate and say, you know what, I'm actually going to come for it, is actually a good timing. I mean, Sergio Romero, shame. But even that, for United's board to discuss Dean Henderson as the replacement for De Gea and not Sergio, maybe says a lot also about the ambition. And again, look at it, man. We signing a lot of young players. I mean, Bruno was probably the oldest player we intended to sell, but But everybody else around him, we bought as young. We signing young. We encouraging young. We recruiting young. We moving young. We moved young away. Sorry, but Greenwood, James, Tahi Chong, freaking Angel Gomez, all those guys, like Fasu Mensah, all those guys, Brandon Williams, all youngsters. Why? Because we have to look 5, 7, 8 years ahead. Dean Henderson is 5, 7 or 8 years ahead. Not De Gea. We love De Gea. He's helped us a lot. But he is getting to a point where he's going to start considering other things. I mean, he has also obviously his family from Spain. He wants to be in Spain. So send him back to Spain. No Spain, no gain, apparently. But anyway, it was an absolute delight. A fantastic feeling to see the Premier League come back. I mean, City really gave Arsenal a whopper. And, for us to have beat City the way we did, and for Arsenal to lose to City last night the way they did, shows you a lot of where we are and where they are. It wasn't only the fact that they lost, it was more about how they lost, the lack of discipline they showed with, what's the guy's name, David Luiz getting sent off, giving away a penalty. I watched even the game again, even the goal that Sterling scored. Lingard version 3 scored. He was in that position. The ball went through his legs. And that's why his keeper, Lino, didn't see it. Because he is not a great defender. And I feel they wasted their money on him. And they already don't have a lot of money to spend. I mean, Arsene Wenger took that all with him. I'm assuming. But yeah, anyway, I digress and I don't want to, because Arsenal's not really worth talking about. Neither really City. They're not really a soccer team anyway. But yeah, the league has now started. City won 3-0. They're putting the pressure back on Liverpool. Arsenal lost. Wasn't a surprise. The surprise for me was Sheffield drawing against Aston Villa. The surprise for me was Jack Grealish playing so well, was very positive, and obviously Dean Henderson. But moving forward and looking forward to Friday night's game, where we plan the takedown again of Jose Mourinho from Portugal and his stars in white shirts, because they will be playing home. We don't know. I think I said this in the other show. We don't know if Harry Kane is going to play, if he's not going to play. We can count on a couple of, obviously, we can say no-brainers, but nonetheless, we know Son's going to play. Lucas Moura will more than likely play. I don't know if Dele Alli is going to play, but Mourinho seems to like him, so he'll probably play. But I don't know if Kane is going to play. I also, to a certain degree, don't actually think it's a matter. It doesn't matter for me, because we showed we can contain them. We showed it in the last game. We can contain him. We can contain their attack. They not as multi-dimensional as we knew them under Pochettino. So I don't want to get overconfident here. I'm going to say again, maybe a 2-1 or a 2-0. Put your predictions down there, guys. If I get it right, if I get my 2-1 right, you guys must subscribe and share this page. How's that for an agreement? And if I get it wrong, you like, subscribe and share the page so you can show the people I got it wrong. But nonetheless, hit the notifications button so we can see when the next one's coming out. But I don't want to sound too overconfident. Mourinho, at the end of the day, is still Mourinho. He is still what they would call a master tactician. We know he's a defensive player. Does he have the squad to be able to accommodate? I don't seem to think so. And if I look at the potential of our squad, head to head, we have better players in almost every position. I don't think they have a position where they are better than us. Even if I start at the back, we know it's De Gea. No brainer. Now we're going to look at Maguire, potentially Lindelof, or Bailey. I think Bailey should start. I don't know if Lindelof, but Alfaccio Anslin says maybe it's a good idea if they do, because they've got a good combination and that they've been a good pair for defensive pair so far. So maybe you should start. We're going to have Wan-Bissaka. That's a no-brainer. And then we're going to have Luke Shaw on the left. It could be Brandon Williams if you want youth. Now, this is based on the assumption that he's going to set up as a 4-3-2 with two holding central mids and one attacking mid. And the attacking mid is obviously going to be our latest signing, Mr. Bruno Fernandes. And I'm sure that he's going to rip them apart. He wasn't there for the last game, and I don't think Jose knows how to play him or play against him. And that for me is the wild card that he's not going to be able to accommodate for. The other thing we need to discuss is this. We know what the back five is going to be. Well, the four defenders and the goalkeeper. Who is in the midfield? Who do you think should be in midfield? A lot of predictions out there. The one I'm looking at now says Matic, McTominay, and Bruno ahead of them. That leaves out Fred and Pogba. Now Matic has had a good run of late. He had a good build up to that City game. Wow, he was fantastic. But did this break of lockdown, and did they have enough time to ascertain with the friendlies if Matic should actually start? Should he start over Pogba? I wouldn't. If I must choose, I wouldn't. I wouldn't choose Matic over Pogba. I'd put Pogba in there and I'd say, you know what? Let's do this. I know this next couple of weeks is going to be hectic. The schedule is so tight. We don't really want to play all our cards open. We want to keep some players fit. Yes, we can have 5 substitutes, but as you saw last night, it doesn't necessarily play in your favor as easily. You can't just bring on 5, take off 5, and all of a sudden you're done. It doesn't work, and you've got very specific increments that you are able to do your substitutes in, which I think is fair. Otherwise, you're going to replace your whole freaking half of your team if they didn't work. But nonetheless, we've got 5 subs that we can consider. Is Ollie then going to consider setting up with Pogba? I would give him the first 60 minutes. He has to get into the swing of things. He has to understand he's going to face the big teams. We're not going to know where he's at if we don't give him a challenge. Putting him up against Norwich in the FA Cup quarterfinals is not giving Pogba a challenge. So, for me, and in my opinion, which is humble, put him up against Spurs. Put him up against Vertonghen and Alderweireld. Let's see what he does. Let's give him that freedom. Let's put him next to Fred, not McTominay. Let Fred hold up, because Fred can hold up an attack well. He does break up play very well. He's very tenacious. He's got that spirit. He proved he earned the United shirt. When Mourinho didn't give him the light of day, Oli proved that Fred has potential. And Fred then took it and flew with it. I mean, he is one of my favorite midfielders at the moment, simply because he works so hard. He puts in balls that we sometimes overlook. He creates opportunities that Bruno didn't create because he wasn't there. Yet we had to score, and Fred was producing. Bruno wasn't there, but then no was Pogba. So for him to show that amount of fight not only gives the manager and the rest of the team confidence, but it definitely provides a lot of confidence into the front three. Because now that gives Rashford, Martial and James the ability to press forward and not have to backtrack the way they did. Or the way they had to before to help out the defense and help out the midfield. Or come far back because they weren't getting anything. They were not being provided for. Or Lingard losing the ball every time. Ooh. Nonetheless, my prediction for going forward is I would put Pogba next to Fred with Bruno in front of them, because Bruno's going to be magic. I don't even have to spend a lot of time on that. And then left would be Rashford. I'm going to put Martial in front of him, and I'm going to put James. And as we move along, we can bring on Tahith Chong to relieve James, Greenwood, and we can bring on McTominay. So we can utilize the 5 substitutes and give our key players a break when we score our second, maybe our third goal, just to ease that pressure, because it's going to be important that we maintain fitness going through. So, with all that said, I'm going to stick to my guns and say I feel that our Friday night score is going to be 2-0. I think we're going to hold them. We're going to do well. And I think it's going to be a tight game. We're going to catch them on the break. And we're gonna win 2-0. I'm pretty confident about that. That's my prediction. Guys, please add in the comments what your prediction is gonna be. I'd love to see what your prediction is gonna be for the score. What you think is gonna play, who is gonna play, who your lineup of choice should be going forward. And let's see where we get. I mean, this will be very interesting. I'd really like to hear from you. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this page. Hit the notification so you can hear or see when the next video is coming out. I do look forward to seeing you soon again on The Bench with Faizal Brooks. Cheers.